Survival gear usually drains your wallet, but today we're looking at the highest rated, affordable beasts on Amazon that actually outperform the expensive stuff. You can grab any of these using the links right here in the description below. Just a heads up, the prices mentioned are from the time of recording and might fluctuate slightly depending on sales. We are doing this in a reverse countdown, so stick around because number 5 is a game changer that completely solves the biggest killer in the wild, hypothermia. Let's get into it. Number 15, Leukotape P Sports Tape. Most people pack a roll of duct tape and think their medical kit is complete, but if you ask any Appalachian Trail thru hiker or combat medic, they will tell you that is a mistake. Duct tape traps moisture, causes skin maceration, and slides off the moment you start sweating. This specific tape, priced around $10 to $12, is the gold standard for blister prevention and gear repair, and it is chemically distinct from anything you find in a hardware store. The magic here lies in the adhesive. It uses a high-strength zinc oxide rubber-based adhesive that is incredibly aggressive. Unlike standard medical tape that peels off after a few hours of hiking, this porous, high-tensile rayon-backed tape is designed to stay on your skin for days, even through showers, sweat, and river crossings. In a survival situation, your mobility is your life. A single infected blister can render you stationary, which means you can't gather firewood, you can't hunt, and you can't self-rescue. The P stands for patellofemoral, as it was originally designed for the McConnell taping method to correct kneecap tracking. This means it has zero stretch. This rigidity is exactly what you need. When you feel a hot spot on your heel, applying a strip of this creates a friction barrier that is essentially a second skin. It transfers the friction from your sock to the tape, bypassing your epidermis entirely. Beyond medical use, the rayon backing is incredibly tough. You can use this to lash a knife to a stick, patch a tear in a tent, or even fix a delaminated boot sole. It's lighter than duct tape, breathable so your skin doesn't rot underneath, and the roll lasts effectively forever. Number 14, Sharpener 101 Newtons 6 in one pocket knife sharpener. Transitioning from maintaining your body to maintaining your tools, we have a piece of kit that solves the problem of dull steel in the field. A dull knife is a dangerous knife because it requires excessive force to cut, which leads to slippage and injury. For just $10 to $12, this unit packs an entire workshop into a chassis the size of a lighter. What separates this from other cheap sharpeners is the integration of preset angles. Most people ruin their blades in the wild because they can't hold a consistent 20-degree angle on a stone while shivering or tired. This tool features 2 distinct slots. The first is a coarse tungsten carbide slot. This is aggressive metal removal. If you chip your blade batoning wood or hitting a rock, the carbide peels off steel to reprofile the edge rapidly. You wouldn't use this for daily maintenance, but for emergency restoration, it is vital. The second slot is fine, ceramic. This is for honing and polishing the edge, realigning the burr to get that razor-sharp finish. But the engineering goes deeper. Flip it over, and you have a tapered diamond rod. This is specifically designed for serrated blades like those on a Leatherman or a survival knife spine, which are notoriously difficult to sharpen with flat stones. The rod also features a groove for sharpening fish hooks, ensuring your food procurement gear stays viable. Integrated into the body, you also get a ferrocerium rod for fire starting and a high-pitched emergency whistle. The whistle is tuned to cut through environmental noise like wind or rushing water. It's not just a sharpener, it's a fire signal and tool maintenance system that weighs less than an ounce. Number 13, UCO Candelier Candle Lantern. Moving from sparks to sustained light, we have a device that offers something modern LEDs simply cannot: dry heat. In a survival scenario, particularly in damp or freezing conditions, condensation is a silent killer. It builds up inside your tent or shelter, soaking your sleeping bag. For around $40, this triple candle lantern acts as a micro furnace for your shelter. While LED lanterns are brighter and safer, they emit zero heat. This brass and aluminum unit burns 3 specialized 9-hour candles simultaneously. While it won't replace a campfire, the thermal output is roughly 5,000 BTUs, which is enough to raise the interior temperature of a small tent or snow cave by several degrees and, more importantly, burn off the humidity in the air to keep your gear dry. The design creates a chimney effect. The heat shield on top gets hot enough to keep a cup of coffee warm or even slowly melt snow for water in an emergency, saving your precious stove fuel. The glass chimney shields the flame from wind, making it viable for outdoor use, and it is spring-loaded. As the candles burn down, the spring pushes them up, keeping the flame at a consistent height so you don't lose light output. Psychologically, the warm glow of a natural flame has been proven to lower cortisol levels and reduce stress more effectively than the harsh blue-white light of an LED. In a long-term grid-down scenario where batteries are dead and solar chargers are failing due to cloud cover, having 27 hours of light and heat stored in 3 wax sticks is a capability that electronic gear cannot match. Number 12. Cold Steel Bushman Bowie Blade Variant. If you need a tool that bridges the gap between a utility knife and a weapon of war, this is the most structurally sound option on the market for the price. Coming in at roughly $25 to $30, the Bushman is unique because it lacks the one thing that causes most knives to fail: a handle to blade joint. Most knives have a tang that goes into a handle scale. Under extreme stress, like prying or chopping, that junction is a stress point. This knife is drop forged from a single piece of SK5 high carbon steel. The steel is cold rolled to form a hollow handle that is seamless with the blade. There are no screws, no glue, and no plastic to crack. It is essentially a sharp steel pipe. This socket design allows for a specific survival function, the creation of a spear. You can slide a sturdy branch into the handle and secure it with a screw or just friction. This gives you 5 to 6 feet of reach, allowing you to hunt game like wild boar or defend yourself against predators while keeping a safe distance. The SK5 steel is treated to a Rockwell hardness of 54, which is slightly softer than some premium super steels. This is intentional. In a survival context, you want steel that will bend rather than snap under pressure, and SK5 is incredibly tough and easy to sharpen on a river rock if necessary. The blade geometry is a classic Bowie shape, providing a deep belly for skinning game and a fine point for piercing tasks. It arrives coated in a black anti-corrosive finish to protect the high-carbon steel from rust. Number 11. Aquatab's Water Purification Tablets 100 Pack. We have secured a blade, heat, and maintenance, but none of that matters if you die of dysentery. While water filters like the Sawyer Squeeze are excellent, they have a fatal flaw. If the ceramic or hollow fiber membrane inside them freezes, it cracks microscopically. You won't know it's broken until you get sick. For $10 to $15, these tablets are the fail-safe backup used by NATO forces worldwide. This is a chemistry-based solution rather than a physical one. The active ingredient is sodium dichloroisocyanurate. Unlike iodine, which leaves a terrible taste and turns the water brown, these tablets produce a clear, relatively tasteless solution. One tiny tablet, smaller than an aspirin, can purify up to 2 quarts of water. The strip packaging is paper thin, meaning you can slide a sheet of 10 tablets into your wallet, your phone case, or the lining of your hat. The mechanism of action is rapid. Within 30 minutes, it disrupts the cell walls of bacteria and viruses, neutralizing threats like cholera, typhoid, and dysentery. It is important to note that while they kill biological threats, they do not remove sediment or chemicals. In a muddy water scenario, you would pre-filter the water through a bandana or a sock to remove the heavy grit, and then drop in a tablet to handle the invisible killers. With a shelf life of 5 years, these are a buy-it-and-forget-it insurance policy. If you lose your main pack or your filter clogs, having 50 liters of clean water potential in your pocket is the difference between dehydration and survival. Number 10. Speed Hook Specialist Emergency Fishing Kit. While the water tablets keep you hydrated, calorie depletion is the next ticking clock. The problem with traditional fishing in a survival situation is that it is an active pursuit. Standing by a river holding a stick requires focus, energy, and time you should be spending building a shelter or gathering firewood. For roughly $15, this device automates the process, effectively allowing you to be in 2 places at once. Originally developed for U.S. Air Force survival kits and widely used by special forces, the Speed Hook is a spring-loaded trap mechanism. It is not a reel, it is a trigger. The physics here are brilliant in their simplicity. You bait the hook and set the wire trigger. When a fish takes the bait and pulls, it disengages the catch, The spring instantly snaps back with significant force, setting the hook into the fish's mouth automatically. This eliminates the need for the human reaction time required to hook a fish. This transforms fishing from a sport into a passive food collection system. You can set 5 or 6 of these along a bank, go to sleep, and wake up to breakfast. It works effectively on everything from small panfish to larger catfish, depending on your bait. However, a crucial warning accompanies this purchase. Because it is so effective, it is considered an illegal snare for sport fishing in many states. This is strictly a survival tool for when game laws are suspended and your life is on the line. The kit comes perfectly flat-packed, taking up less space than a credit card, and includes the dehydrated bait, line, and hooks necessary to deploy immediately. It leverages the survival principle of work smarter, not harder, conserving your metabolic energy while securing protein. Number 9. SOL Survive Outdoors Longer Escape Bivvy. If you cannot find food, you can survive for 3 weeks. If you cannot stop the wind and cold, you can die in 3 hours. Most budget survivalists pack those shiny foil-looking Mylar space blankets. While those reflect heat, they have a lethal design flaw. They are impermeable. As you sleep, your body releases moisture vapor. In a sealed Mylar bag, that vapor condenses against the cold foil, turning into liquid water. You wake up soaking wet, and in freezing temperatures, wet clothing leads rapidly to hypothermia. This product, priced around $50 to $55, is the necessary evolution of that concept. The SOL Escape Bivvy solves the condensation paradox using a proprietary spun-bonded olefin fabric. This material is technologically impressive because it manages to be metallized, reflecting 70% of your radiant body heat back to you while remaining breathable. It allows moisture vapor to escape the bag while preventing wind and rain from getting in. It creates a microclimate that is warm and dry. Weighing only 8.5 ounces, it packs down to the size of a Foster's beer can. Unlike the cheap Mylar sheets that shred if you look at them wrong, this fabric is tear-resistant and durable enough for repeated use. You can use it as a standalone sleeping bag in temperatures down to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, or as a sleeping bag liner to boost the rating of your main bag by 15 degrees in deep winter. The seams are taped and sealed, providing a high degree of water resistance. In a bug-out scenario where carrying a bulky 4-pound sleeping bag isn't an option, this sits in the sweet spot between a useless foil sheet and a full camping system. It is the difference between waking up shivering in a puddle of your own sweat and waking up rested and dry. Number 8. UST Blast Match Fire Starter. Having a warm shelter is great, but fire is the ultimate morale booster and tool. The standard ferrocerium rod is a staple of survival gear, but it has a mechanical limitation. It requires fine motor skills and 2 functioning hands, one to hold the rod, one to strike. If you have broken an arm, dislocated a shoulder, or if your hands are trembling uncontrollably from stage 2 hypothermia, using a standard flint and steel becomes nearly impossible. For $18, the Blast Match mechanically solves the injury scenario. This is a one-handed fire generation system. The design features a thick bar of ferrocerium housed inside a protective plastic casing, coupled with a spring-loaded tungsten carbide striker. To operate it, you simply press the button to expose the rod, place the tip against your tinder bundle, and push down with your thumb or the palm of your hand. The downward pressure forces the striker to scrape along the rod while it rotates. This rotation is key. It ensures even wear on the rod and generates a concentrated, directional shower of sparks at 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Because the sparks are directed straight down into the tinder rather than flying outward, you have a much higher ignition success rate in windy conditions. The casing also protects the rod from oxidation and snapping. If you are injured and alone, the ability to generate fire by simply pushing a device against a log with your knee or weak hand is a capability that justifies the extra bulk compared to a standard rod. It removes the variable of user dexterity from the fire-making equation. Number 7. Wells Lamont Hydrahide Leather Work Gloves. You can have the best fire starter and the best knife, but your primary survival tools are your hands. In a rugged environment, a deep laceration on your palm or severe burn from a campfire can lead to infection and disability. The market is flooded with tactical synthetic gloves that look cool but melt instantly upon contact with hot surfaces. For true long-term survival, you need the organic durability of leather, and for $15 to $20, these gloves offer a specific chemical advantage. Standard leather gets stiff and brittle once it gets wet and dries out. The HydraHide technology in these cowhide gloves is not a surface coating that wears off. It is a tanning process that seals the leather fibers specifically to repel water while remaining breathable. This means the leather stays supple and soft even after being soaked in rain or snow. Why leather over tactical nylon? Fire. You can reach into a fire to rearrange logs, grab a hot pot handle, or clear burning brush without the glove melting into your skin. These gloves feature a reinforced palm patch for high wear areas, making them ideal for processing wood, using an axe, or clearing thorns and briars. They are highly abrasion resistant, protecting your hands from the blisters that inevitably form when using tools you aren't accustomed to. The Keystone thumb design provides maximum articulation, so you don't lose the dexterity needed to tie knots or operate a firearm. They aren't high-speed, low-drag operator gear, they are working gear. In a survival situation, you are a laborer, not a commando, and you need gloves built for labor. Number 6. Ranger beads, pace counter. Electronics fail, batteries corrode, cold drains, lithium-ion cells, and GPS satellites can be jammed or blocked by heavy canopy and canyon walls. When the lights go out, you need to navigate using math and geometry. For a mere $8 to $10, this simple string of beads provides the only foolproof method for measuring distance traveled on foot, dead reckoning. A set of ranger beads acts as a manual abacus. The design usually consists of 2 sections of beads separated by a knot, 9 beads in the lower section and 4 in the upper. The system works on the metric of 100 meters. You first determine your pace count, how many times your left foot hits the ground to walk 100 meters, usually between 60 and 70 paces for an average male. Every time you walk that distance, you slide one of the lower beads down. When you have moved all 9 lower beads, you have walked 900 meters. On the next 100 meters, you slide them all back up and pull down one of the top beads, signifying 1 kilometer traveled. This prevents the dangerous psychological drift where survivors overestimate how far they have walked. In a dense forest or whiteout blizzard where there are no landmarks, knowing you have walked exactly 3.5 kilometers on a specific compass bearing allows you to pinpoint your location on a map with frightening accuracy. It is immune to EMP, water, shock, and battery failure. It hangs on your pack or vest, a silent accountant of your movement, ensuring that when you decide to head to a rescue point, you actually get there instead of walking in a giant, fatal circle. Number 5. Corona RS 7245 Razor Tooth Folding Saw 7-inch. At the number 5 spot, we have a tool that challenges the dominance of the axe. In a survival situation, particularly in winter, you live or die by your ability to process wood. You need calories to burn, and you need fuel to burn. Processing a 6-inch log with a knife is a calorie-negative activity. You will burn more energy chopping it than the fire will return to you. An axe is heavy and dangerous if you are tired. For approximately $20 to $25, the Corona RS 7245 is the efficiency king of the budget world. Often overshadowed by the more expensive Japanese silky saws, the Corona is the secret weapon of American landscapers and bushcrafters. The magic lies in the razor tooth geometry. Unlike a standard carpenter's saw that rips wood, this blade features triple ground, impulse-hardened teeth. This means each tooth has 3 distinct cutting angles, front, back, and top, turning the blade into a row of tiny knives that shave the wood away rather than tearing it. Crucially, this is a pull-stroke saw. Western saws cut on the push, which requires a thicker, heavier blade to prevent buckling. The Corona cuts only when you pull it towards you. This physics hack allows the blade to be thinner and lighter, reducing friction and removing material with half the effort. You can process an arm-thick hardwood log in under 30 seconds. The curved blade profile naturally bites into the log, so you don't have to apply downward pressure. Gravity does the work for you. The handle is a high-visibility, red, co-molded ergonomic grip that is easy to find if dropped in the snow. While it lacks the replacement blade availability of a silky, for the price of a few coffees, you get a tool that allows you to build a substantial, heat-reflecting shelter and process enough firewood for an entire night without exhausting yourself. Number 4, Esbit Ultralight Folding Pocket Stove. Stealth and reliability take the number 4 spot. Sometimes, a raging campfire is not an option. Maybe you are trying to remain undetected, or perhaps everything in the forest is soaking wet and you just need to boil water to rehydrate a meal. For around $12 to $15, the Esbit stove is a piece of World War II engineering that has remained virtually unchanged because it is functionally perfect. The genius of this device is that it has 0 moving parts to break. It is simply a sheet of galvanized steel, stamped and folded into a box slightly larger than a deck of cards. There are no valves to clog, no gas canisters to leak, and no hoses to crack. It opens into 2 positions, a 90-degree angle for small metal cups and a 45-degree angle for larger pots. It runs on solid fuel tablets made of hexamethylene-tetramine. These tablets are shelf-stable for decades. Unlike butane, which loses pressure in freezing temperatures, or alcohol, which can spill, solid fuel works at any altitude and any temperature. You simply light a corner of the cube with a match. It burns with a low visible blue flame, making it excellent for light discipline. One 14-gram tablet burns for about 12 minutes, exactly enough to bring 500 milliliters of water to a rolling boil. If you need to extinguish it early, you just blow it out and save the rest for later. It is the ultimate bug-out bag stove because you can pack it deep in your kit and ignore it for 10 years, knowing that when you pull it out, it will work exactly as advertised. It is not the fastest way to boil water, but it is the most fail-safe. Number 3, Catahoula Hash 36 Tarred Bank Line. If you look into the kit of an experienced trapper or heavy bushcrafter, you likely won't see paracord, you will see this. Coming in at number 3 is the Catahoula Hash 36 Tarred Bank Line. For roughly $13, you get a quarter-pound spool approx 140 to 150 feet of cordage that outperforms 550 cord in almost every rigorous survival task. Paracord is popular, but it has flaws. It stretches when wet, it absorbs water, and the knots tend to slip if not tied perfectly. Bankline is twisted nylon twine that has been pressure-treated with tar. This black tar coating does 3 things. First, it makes the line completely waterproof and rot-resistant. You can leave a trot line in a river for 6 months and it won't degrade. Second, the tar adds tackiness or friction. When you tie a knot, it bites into itself and locks solid. It holds lashings for shelters and tripods much tighter than the slippery sheath of paracord. Third, it is much thinner and more compact. The Hash 36 size has a tensile strength of roughly 340 pounds, which is more than enough for building shelters, hauling game, or repairing gear. Because it is thinner, you can carry 500 feet of bank line in the same space as 100 feet of paracord. It is also stiffer, making it far superior for setting snares because the loop stays open and doesn't droop. Whether you are stitching a blown-out boot sole or setting a perimeter tripwire, the rigidity and grip of tarred bank line make it the superior structural engineering material for the wild. Number 2, Sford Peasant Knife Polypropylene Handle. At number 2, we are abandoning modern complexity for ancient reliability. Folding knives usually fail at the lock, the liner lock slips, the axis spring snaps, or the back lock gets jammed with grit. The Sford Peasant Knife, priced around $18 to $22, has no lock to break. It is a friction folder, a design that dates back to the Roman era and was perfected by New Zealand knife maker Brian Baker. The mechanism is pure physics. The blade features an extended tang that protrudes from the back of the handle when the knife is closed. To open it, you push down on the tang. When the knife is open, that tang sits flush inside the handle right under your palm. Your hand is the lock. The harder you grip the handle, the tighter the blade stays open. It cannot accidentally close on your fingers because your grip prevents it. The steel is the real star here. It uses Swedish high-carbon tool steel, often L6 or Sandvik, depending on the batch, differentially tempered. This means the spine of the blade is left softer for toughness, while the edge is hardened for retention. It takes a terrifyingly sharp edge and is easy to sharpen in the field using a simple riverstone or the ceramic rod we mentioned earlier. The convex grind is ideal for wood carving and food prep. The polypropylene handle is virtually indestructible and impervious to weather. If the pivot gets loose, you just tighten the 2 screws. It is a tool that thrives on neglect and abuse, perfect for a survival kit where fancy bearings and complex locks are just liabilities waiting to happen. Number 1. EOD Robotics Breacher Bar Widgie Pry Bar. And finally, at number 1, we have the most underrated, overlooked, and arguably most important tool for urban and suburban survival. It isn't a knife, and it isn't a gun. It is the Breacher Bar. For roughly $12 to $15, this chunk of hardened steel solves a critical problem. In a disaster, you aren't just cutting things, you are breaking into things. The number one reason survival knives break is that people try to use them as pry bars. They try to pry open a window, force a door latch, or crate open a supply box, and the tip of their expensive knife snaps off. A knife is for cutting, a pry bar is for leverage. This tool, often found under names like the Widgie or simply a 4-inch steel pry bar, is designed to take the abuse that would destroy your blade. In an urban survival scenario, scavenging is reality. You may need to pry open a vending machine for food, force open a locked janitor's closet for supplies, or shim a window to escape a burning building. This bar acts as a force multiplier. Made from heat-treated D2 or stainless steel, it is practically indestructible. It usually features a nail puller, which is invaluable for scavenging lumber from pallets to board up windows. It is compact enough to fit on a keychain or in a MOLLE webbing loop, yet it provides tons of leverage. By carrying this 2-ounce bar, you protect the edge of your primary knife, ensuring it stays razor sharp for when you really need it. It is the key to the city when the city shuts down, and that utility makes it our number one affordable survival essential. There you have it, 15 pieces of gear that prove you don't need a trust fund to survive the apocalypse. If you want to build this loadout, check the links in the description and click this video right here to see how we built a complete bug out bag for under $100. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.